Okay, here's a mystery. Why did the NIH lift the 3-year ban on federal funding of dangerous gain-of-function supervirus research in 2017 under the Trump administration? They're talking about making viruses more deadly and infectious in order to get vaccines. When Harvard and Johns Hopkins University epidemiologists say that didn't help with pandemics, this research, and the vaccine companies are not clamoring and asking for this research. Let's get Dr. Ben Carson with us now to talk about this. So, the epidemiologists are saying we haven't seen the vaccine companies say that they need to do this work in order to make vaccines. Your reaction?
Well, first of all, lifting the ban, you have to recognize in government, things take a long time. So that would have been something that was put in motion long before the Trump administration, if it was just in May of 2017, first of all. And then in terms of, doing gain-of-function research, the people who advocate for it say that we need to be ahead of the curve. So if there's going to be some dangerous virus that crops up, if we've already investigated it, we will perhaps have some treatments and some vaccines for it. And those who are against it, of course, say, well, why would you take a chance of unleashing something on the world that might kill millions of people, which in fact may have happened? It's certainly something worthy of significant investigation.
We're talking, the New York Times was reporting that they're talking about creating an Ebola virus that's transmissible through the air in order to get a vaccine. This is really dangerous stuff. And, sir, you know about this. The U.S. has had lab accidents from about 400 of them from 2003 to 2009. Just seven cases there. China has had lab leaks. This is really dangerous stuff. Why work with China? Why share taxpayer-funded technology with China on this?
Well, that's an excellent question. Why would you take that risk in medicine? And in science, we always do something called a benefit-to-risk ratio and ask, what are some of the worst things that could happen if you do this? What are some of the best things that could happen if you do this? And I'll tell you, when you do that analysis, it doesn't really hold water in this particular case. And, the reason that we probably didn't investigate it vigorously is because we were involved. And, the Chinese have enough money. Why can't they fund their own research? But the Wuhan lab, has a history of inappropriate activity, which has led to some safety issues. And there's a very good reason that we wouldn't want to be involved with that, shouldn't be involved with it.
Doctor, we have got government officials not talking about the Wuhan lab leak theory to avoid any association with this supervirus gain-of-function research. Vanity Fair magazine reporting that there's a big gain-of-function bureaucracy that is basically stonewalling and blocking investigations at the State Department into what happened. This includes Dr. Peter Daszak. He's part of EcoHealth. He leads EcoHealth Alliance, which was helping to fund the Wuhan lab research. So he downplayed the lab leak theory, but he applauded the Wuhan lab's success in creating super viruses. Doctor, I'd like you to listen to Dr. Peter Daszak here.
You can manipulate them in the lab pretty easily. It's just spike protein drives a lot of what happens with the coronavirus, zoonotic risk. So you can get the sequence, you can build the protein, and we work with Ralph Barrick at UNC to do this. Insert it into a backbone of another virus, and do some work in the lab.
He's saying he can do it pretty easily. He's the guy who organized a statement from 27 scientists in the Lancet journal in February 2020, dismissing the lab leak theory, saying it didn't happen. What do you say to this?
Which also gave Dr. Fauci ammunition to come out and re-emphasize how very unlikely it was. But obviously it wasn't that unlikely. And of course, there was the claim that we have nothing to do with funding gain-of-function research in China. Well, what we did do is we gave money to EcoHealth Alliance, which is a nonprofit, which then funds those laboratories and funded Wuhan laboratory. And in fact, in publications, they indicated that some of their funding had come from the NIAID, which is the division of NIH that is run by Dr. Fauci. So obviously we were involved. And I think this is something that requires an investigation, not so much that we can ascribe blame and hurt anybody, but to make sure that we never go down that road again.
So, there's talk that it's 600,000. We don't know the dollar amounts really, what went via EcoHealth to the Wuhan lab. Final word, what do you think happened?
Well, I suspect that in the process of working with this gain-of-function activity, someone got infected, someone else got infected, someone else got infected. At least 3 that we know of got infected. That should have rang all the alarm bells, but it didn't. And what is most concerning is that people from that area of China were allowed to go to other parts of the world, but not to other parts of China. Makes you a little bit suspicious.
Interesting. Dr. Carson, thank you so much for joining us. Come back soon. We love having you on. And thanks for your service to our country. Dr. Ben Carson there.